guys, it's Tina, and today I am going to admit a big deal. My big deal is that I turned 40, the big 40. I do remember when both my parents turned 40, and there was this whole over the hill gag that went on for both of them, and I am firmly believing that I am not over the hill. I plan to live to like 185, so I still got ages until that happens. I've decided that for my 40th birthday, I am going to record for you a financial reflection, my 4 biggest things that I have learned in my 40 years. And for fun, I went ahead and did a few things that I always did in my youth. 1, way too much black eyeliner. 2, biggest hoop earrings I could find. 3, way too dark of eyeshadow for the middle of the day. And lastly, all-time favorite, I have got on my Montana Grizz hoodie, which I have straight up owned this since, oh my gosh, since I graduated. This was a graduation gift that my mom gave me. It's an oversized hoodie that I only pull out on the cold days where I want to get snuggly and reminisce about my youth. And is today not the perfect day for that? Okay guys, let's go ahead and get started. I'm 40 years old. What have I really learned? What are the biggest things that I figured out in my life when it comes to finances and my financial journey? Lesson number 1, nobody is going to save you from your bad choices. When I was in my 20s, I regularly made poor decisions, and I still, even though I was making the decisions, wanted somebody else to save me from those outcomes. Whether that was my boyfriend at the time, or whether that was my father, or whether that was God, I wanted somebody to come down, knight in shining armor, and protect me from my bad decisions. A great example of this is one of my first vehicles that I owned was a really beat up old Audi Quattro, and this car was such a junker. But did I care? No, because it looked nice, it had a sunroof, and it was an Audi, and that was that materialism in me shining through. There were so many red flags to not purchase this vehicle, but I was insistent. This was the car for me. It was in my price point, and I didn't care that it just had this weird acceleration thing going on. I didn't care that some of the electrical components weren't functioning correctly. I pursued that bad boy, and I was so excited when I had it. Now, was I excited when 3 months in the transmission failed and I had to rebuild an engine for $5,000 in a vehicle that I spent $2,500 on? No, I wasn't. I wanted somebody outside of myself to fix that problem for me, and they did not. Looking back, I'm grateful that they didn't, because these type of life lessons are the ones that will, I guess, promote the greatest growth in you. Lesson number 2, the most difficult times are the times where you grow the most. In that pain, you really can have some significant gains. In particular, I want to talk about the 2008 recession. That recession was horrible for us. During that recession, our house, we had purchased our first home in February of 2007. So this is approximately 6 months before Lehman Brothers collapsed, and perhaps a year before the full market went down. We financed that home with 2 mortgages. A first mortgage was 80% of the loan, and that was an interest only. And then the second mortgage, which was the remaining 20% because we put no money down, was a 5-year ARM with a balloon payment at the end. And holy smokes, we really truly believed that real estate never goes down. As a matter of fact, we used to say there are 2 industries in life that never lose money: real estate and organized crime. I could not have been more wrong. We proceeded to watch this house devalue by up to approximately 30% in the next 3 years that we owned it, in the first 3 years that we owned it. Our plan when we got those mortgages was to refinance, because we really thought we would pay it down a bit and then we would refinance into a better loan once we had a little bit better credit and we had shown dependability. But we were unable to do that because the home depreciated so much that in order to refinance it, we would have had to put like $40,000 or $50,000 down. So, long story short, we had to hustle and grind. My husband and I realized we had made an atrocious decision and that we were no longer going to have, nights out at the bar during the weekdays. We were no longer going to eat out. We were no longer going to really have a life because now all of our money had to go to our mortgages. So, when it comes to that time of my life, I feel that it was a really difficult time. It was very stressful, and I was personally conflicted over the way I felt about that house. There was a part of me that really loved it because it was our first home, and there was another part of me that really hated it because it was a trap. We were buried by this house. However, because of what we went through and because we were both committed to cleaning up the mess we had made, we learned this is when we truly began to understand the importance of financial awareness and having a budget. As a matter of fact, it was during this time that we as a household created our first budget. So we tremendously grew out of this tremendously bad situation. Lesson number 3, things will never fill the void. So when I was younger, I struggled with depression. And whenever things get difficult in my life, there is a part of me that will want to do one of two things: fill the void with food or fill the void with shopping. It's gotten easier to not shop so much now that I have kids because frankly they have ruined shopping for me. So I have to struggle more with or have greater self-awareness for the food aspect of it now. I am still prone to depression, although I haven't truly suffered from depression in a long time, but I can still be a Debbie Downer and I have to be guarded with that. I went through a phase though where depression was pervasive in my life, and it was often tied to stress that I was undergoing at work because I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was accomplishing more at work that would increase my stress levels, which then could cause bouts of depression. So what did I do? I didn't really focus on fixing the depression. Oh, I guess I did to some degree. I did practice meditation and mindfulness and working out, but what I really did was I started buying things. And in particular, I started buying designer handbags, shoes, nicer clothing, to the point where I was donating clothes months later that had never probably even had the tags removed. Now, I was able to break that habit for most everything. I do still have a love for designer things, and I do make better choices and decisions about what I buy. I don't let myself go overboard with it, and I do spend a lot of time truly considering expensive purchases like a Louis Vuitton or a Chanel handbag. That being said, I wasn't always like this, and the reason I learned to become like this is because I would go and buy myself this very expensive thing. I wouldn't think very much about whether or not it was practical for my lifestyle. I just wanted it as a status symbol and as a way to represent the success that I had achieved in my career, because that success was ultimately what was causing the stress, and that stress was leading to the depression, which in that big circle brought me to wanting to purchase these belongings. In time, I stopped purchasing them for depression outright. I would say, very honestly, I haven't done that in probably 6 or 7 years. And I do still purchase designer and luxury items. I just now purchase them because I've investigated them, I really want them, and I can afford them. And last, but most definitely not least, is stick to a plan. Make a plan and stick to a plan. In life, you will get curveballs thrown to you all the time, and it can be very difficult to figure out what's the right way to handle a curveball. But if you have a plan, you don't have to think too hard. You can lean on your plan, and you can use that plan as the deciding factor for how to handle the curveball. Case in point, I've done a video on this. You receive an inheritance or you receive a large windfall of money. You could go crazy with that. You could go and maybe fill a depressive void with acquiring a lot of stuff, or you could stick to a plan that you had already established and pursue whatever it is that you were planning for, whether that be a trip around the world or paying off your mortgage or paying off your student loans. So The value of a plan cannot be stated enough by me. If there is one thing that I've learned in this life, it is that with a vision and with a plan, you can set goals that can bring you any place you want to be. So there you have it, guys. My top 4 lessons from my fabulous 40 years on this planet so far. I hope you enjoyed them, and happy birthday to me. I might do a bonus video and show you what I got myself as a gift. We'll see about that. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye.